Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year, and welcome back to the Brian Escow Show. It is so great to be with you as always. It is really an honor for me to do this, a treat for me. I really enjoy it, and I hope you do too. So, welcome back. Other than saying Happy New Year, I was struggling with how I was going to start off this episode. I have a couple random bullet points that I want to maybe get to before I get into the main topic of today, which the main topic is going to be FYI Matt Walsh's recent appearance on Tucker Carlson's podcast. But I have just this random list that I thought maybe I could touch upon before then, but I wasn't really sure how to start. And I also don't know where it's going to go. So hopefully it'll end up being something relatively cohesive. But just as I was making my final cup of tea right before I came to record, I saw a video on X that I think is perfect. It was a montage clip. It was a meme video. If you speaking of tea, sip of tea. It was this guy, uh, young father age type deal, sitting in shape. Not that it was really relevant in his kitchen with a an espresso or whatever, like the one I had this morning. We love our espressos, guys, in our 30s. And it was him sitting with the thing, and the text is a video, and the text is, "Dad, can you tell us about the '90s?" And he's like, "Sure." And then, as if he's about to tell you, and then it cuts to a montage video of the '90s of just the rawest. I was born in '89. Okay, just all the Looney Tunes, the movies, the news clips, the music, everything. Um, and it was Tonight by, or is it just Tonight by the Smashing Pumpkins? Is it just Tonight? I think it's just called Tonight. Of course, the chorus is Tonight. But beautiful song, and it just hit, man. It hit all the feels. What a great video, and I really nearly cried. I really did, and it just made me think as a '90s kid how much you miss it, and I guess that's true of any generation. But the '90s really were a special time, and I mean, they really were unique. I mean, I guess every generation would say this about their childhood decade, but were the '90s not truly unique in terms of the precipice to the new millennium and all the technology and all the changes we would see in the world? Is that just '90s kid bias, or is that real? You tell me. But the world is so different now. And, I think I almost shed a tear, maybe because I missed my childhood or that the world is so different. You know what I mean? It was really powerful. Um, Quick detour here. Speaking of sad things, this is somewhere lower on the bullet point list, but I think I can tie it in here. And I'm joking when I ask the question because I already know the answer, because the answer is what I'm liking. The question is why, when I log into Instagram, and it, of course, automatically takes you to threads, which is kind of like U2 imposing their music on your iPhone. It's like, I'll choose where I go, please. Thank you. But anyway, every time I log on to threads, and I'm not active on threads, I'm only active on X and Instagram for personal. But every time I log on to threads, it's people mourning their dogs. And it's a knife to the heart every time. And I'm one of these morbid people who constantly thinks about the worst, and one day my Rosie's gonna go, and Alexa's constantly saying, "Live in the present, don't think about that." And of course she's right. But I just love dogs so much. I'm in love with my Rosie so much. And I love people also, but I also love people particularly who take care of dogs. So this is really important to me, and every day, and on X now too, I'm trying to support people, whether it's just with a like or a comment as well, of and it's just like I can't emotionally handle seeing every human being's dog mourning story. It's tough, but you want to be there for people, and you're going to need that support one day. So it's a beautiful thing, loving a dog, but there's a lot of grief, right? I guess with love comes grief. But anyway, back from the detour, I was saying it's a different world now, certainly than it was when I grew up. Um, and now everyone has a podcast. And my point here is ultimately it's a good thing. It's good for talent. My point here is large. It's even bigger than podcasts. Well, my joke, but my bad joke is one day you're going to get pulled over soon by the cops and they're going to say license, registration, podcast. Okay, that's the bad joke. But everyone has a podcast. If you're a, you know, and I think about when I was playing guitar in high school and college, thank God I wasn't active on social media because nowadays I would have just published everything and maybe that would have been good. And I'm starting to do it now, which is funny. But every musician can just post their songs so it's like we're seeing random people that are talented as hell post their songs, post their pieces of songs, and we're just all mixed up with each other and it's really cool. The only downside is maybe that there's too much to choose from, but that's a good problem. Ultimately, this is a big democratization of talent, of democratization of exposure. So, sip of tea. So I'm back into discovering new music. I mentioned that last week or the week prior and whatever last episode or so, but continuing to find new music through social media and really and playing music again and really enjoying both again. Like I said in a recent episode, the last year or two or three, maybe, I really hadn't been listening to music, certainly not playing, but I've gotten into both and that's really cool. It feels great. I did inherit this from my father. My dad is a very talented composer, musician, and I know what it's like to get lost in something that you're creating. Forget whether it's good or not. Just to be in that process and to feel comfortable there. It's so intoxicating. You could live your whole life there, and that could bring with it a whole host of problems, avoiding reality. But it is an amazing thing if you know, and it's fun to be getting back into that. And actually, uh, someone asked me recently, someone who, by the way, said, "Hey, I really like your podcast," which was a surprise and very nice to hear. They said, "I love your podcast." Actually, okay, they didn't say love; they said really like it. Um, I guess I told them that I was also getting back into music, and they immediately asked, "Which do you prefer?" And this person knows my dad well. Okay, it's my dad's girlfriend. Okay, like let's who am I hiding from? I thought we were being real here. She's a very, very cool woman. Great, great woman. And I'm so happy they're together. And so she knows my dad and she knows he's talented. And so she asked me immediately upon hearing that I'm playing music again, which do you prefer? And I said, and I don't know that I think I took my time and eventually we all just moved on to the next thing. But uh, they're different. They scratch. I think maybe what I said is I really dig the podcast. I've been doing it for like 4 years now. It was originally called Searching for Political Identity. I started it during my final year of law school while studying critical race theory and beginning to question whether or not I still feel like a Democrat after voting for Democrats my whole life, Obama, Hillary, and Joe, and growing up in a progressive home. Wait a minute, now I feel like Ted Cruz. Let me start searching for political identity. You meet a bunch of people from diverse backgrounds. You open your mind. You see CRT everywhere and you go, wait a minute, I'm different now. And then you eventually follow Kennedy to Trump, and next thing you know, you're a MAGA influencer wannabe, right? And you change your podcast name from SPI to the Brian Esca Show because you're trying to step into this, but it's still your journey of self-discovery and your way for you to interact with the world. And I like talking to people. Now I'm switching between first and third person. Super, super good. Um, and so I really dig it. And it's different though. It's the same, but it's different. It's still something I can get lost in. It's still creative, but it's a totally different part of the brain. And so I would say now, because I'm on this hallucination, my current hallucination is that I'm going to put together like an EP or something, a couple tracks of my acoustic song, because I picked up the guitar 6 weeks ago and I've been cranking out um, some tunes. And they're not, I have one finished song, but it's like, shit. I mean, at the rate I'm going, I could do something in 2 months here and say, "Hey, I finally, after 15 years of being dormant with my guitar, after playing for 10 years but never pursuing anything, I've actually put something together." So I'm considering that. but it's a different itch. And I'm currently enjoying scratching them both. And I wouldn't want to give up either. So this is part of my story. Now, it's not what I do for a living. Um, if it becomes interesting to talk about what I do for a living, one day I'll talk about it, but it's not in my mind super relevant. And if you don't mind, I'd rather just not get into it right now. But I have a 9 to 5 job. I was previously in the field for years, as I've discussed before, as a construction management role, and now I'm at a corporate office for a company. Okay, and it's going great. It's going great. It's new. I've been in the office for like 4 months now, and it's really going great. Got my law degree in November 2024. Got married November 2025. Met Alexa November 23. A little out of order there, but it's been a series of Novembers and things are going really well for me. And I'm just feeling super blessed. And so continuing this journey of self-discovery, though, I like doing this podcast. Um, so everyone has a podcast, and it's good for everyone. I think people are expressing. It's more for people to consume. You do run into the question of information quality, and that's what much of the censorship debate is about. If you take it glass half full, if you want to be optimistic about it, if you don't want to be cynical, then the censorship debate is really about, okay, well, in this new environment, what are the protocols? Who's editing? Who's fact checking? And ultimately, I think you have to choose the following side. More speech is better than less speech. Let new protocols evolve. Keep the marketplace of ideas and exchange open. And so I'm in favor of Elon Musk and what he did with Twitter and all of that. Okay. But it's a new world and there are challenges and opportunities that come with that. And so I think we just have to recognize that. But, oh, did I not ever finish this thought about the puppies? I log on and I see them. No, maybe I did. Sorry. I just saw that. It's a puppy posts. So anyway, that's a little bit of the introduction I wanted to get into here. There's more to come, but those are a couple of the first points. I guess so. Now you know where I'm coming from. If you didn't already with this podcast, what I'm into creatively, and what I'm trying to do, which is find my place in this political environment, in this world, and make sense of it, and be a positive, contribute to it positively in some small way. And I really dig Rogan. Like I've said in recent episodes, if you're a regular listener, which I assume you're not, I don't really listen to any podcast regularly. If any, I would say it's now Jesse Michaels' American Alchemy podcast, who got big because of Rogan, one of these many people who came under Rogan's wing. And so Rogan's incredible. And I was just listening to, and I actually think I caught one of the previous appearances this guy Michael Masters had on Rogan. So I've listened. And I'm maybe a quarter way through the recent one. I guess Michael Masters is like an evolutionary biologist or whatever, and so of course he's interested in UAPs and non-human intelligence and all of this stuff. And what are these UFOs, unidentified aerial phenomenons, and this kind of thing. And as you know, if you're a listener, this has been a subject of interest for me recently. And so basically, this guy, Michael Masters, says, look, the fact that these typical gray aliens look humanoid suggests that they are us from the future. And these are actually, there's a time traveling element here. And so these crafts are really time machines. I guess you would say they're really space time machines. And so that's why they're doing it. And so he paints a picture. Now, interestingly, he said in this conversation with Joe, oh, when I was 8 years old, I had an experience in my living room where I saw a flash of light, or in my head, in his head, he said he saw the flash of light in an image of like a primate and a human, and then like the typical gray alien came into his mind, and the question was inserted into his mind. He claims, what if they're all connected? And so that set him on this pursuit. And Joe didn't know that. And so, rightly so, Joe immediately says, "Well, don't we have a confirmation bias problem here with you then?" And the guy's like, when so I'm not done listening to the episode, but so there's that. But the guy does seem very academic and rigorous. And so, um, but his theory is that, and he is not alone. And that's the point. That's why I've been talking about it. It's why, I mean, go back to my previous last couple episodes if you want to get the framework of where I'm coming from on this issue, particularly last episode where I did a very brief summary on why everyone's talking about it. But a lot of people are talking about this stuff as if it's real. And what are the implications if you have, whether they're aliens? And by the way, Michael Masters says he's often pigeonholed into thinking that they're just time traveling humans. He thinks it's actually broader than that. So let's say it's aliens, it's future humans, it's interdimensional, but it's all of this stuff. The implications and what got me, what made me want to mention it to you now about this recent Michael Masters appearance was when he's talking about how they could stop bullets and their time for that is just different inside the craft and outside the craft. And so is space. And so you could have a small craft in front of you and it's like 10 football fields inside or whatever. And the speed is different. If we're living in that universe, in that reality where we are undetected being, like at any moment during this broadcast, a being could come in, stop time. I wouldn't notice it, put something in, so if we're living in that world, sip of tea, if that's what disclosure is about, if that's one piece of the disclosure, I mean, it's like, geez, what do you do with that? Speaking of missing the 90s, but I guess this stuff was allegedly known for many decades, according to the theory. So who knows? Maybe it's all bullshit, but it's just strange. And last thing I'll say about so I just mentioned that because it's interesting. Okay, throw that in the blender of things on my mind and on the mind of the public at large, I think. But my other note related to UAPs, which I've been talking about way too much lately, I know, is a guy that I work with called me yesterday, actually, previously from the field on one of the construction sites. And he asked me a question about work because, I'd done this particular job for many years. And so I hadn't heard from him in 4 months, actually. And so it was great to talk to him. How you doing, man? And he goes, so we talked business, whatever. And then he goes, oh, by the way, a buddy of mine told me recently that he saw the same kind of UFO or UAP that you did. Because I guess I told my coworker back in March when I saw what I saw, and I've talked about it a lot recently. I won't repeat the sighting. Excuse me, right now. But he goes, yeah, my buddy said he saw the exact same thing, an orange ball, big orange ball glowing, traveling through the night sky. And I didn't actually ask him, well, was it shield off for 2 seconds? And then you could see the triangular craft with the 3 white lights in the shape of an equilateral triangle. And then 2 seconds on with the orange ball and 2-second cycle in and out. Because that's what it, again, was for me. There you go. There's the sighting. I didn't ask that question, but he said he saw that as well. And we all live in the same area. And so who knows? Who knows what it is? I'm not saying it's non-human. I'm saying it was different. I'm not an aerial guy, but I put my money on it that was unusual. So there's something going on. And the secrecy fuels conspiracy theories. So what is the secret? Is it just the tech that would revolutionize our society and feed the poor and this and that and power everything from here to Africa and the oil men or the coal industry? What's up? Is it just that, which would be huge in itself, or is it 10 times deep and wide? This disclosure, what the truth about really? It's like, what the fuck, man? But my very last note here is because when my coworker told me that, I go, the ocean scares me. I'm not sure why. I think because the sky has been looking really trippy lately with the weather here in Southern California. It's been looking really biblical. And you had this prophet, I think it was from Ghana, who claimed that the God was going to flood the world. on Christmas, and then he bought like a Mercedes with the money he raised and said, "God answered my prayers." And we are, I bought us some time. Uh, People were building arcs. Um, I believe in God. I encourage you to pray. I do. So I'm not laughing at the concept of a prophet. I'm just saying, who knows what to make of this stuff? But this guy has looked pretty intense lately. And it just made me think, just as I'm scared of the ocean, and I'm terrified. It represents the unknown. You can't see it. It's so I mean, the subconscious. I mean, the squid. I don't need none of that. And the sky is so beautiful in contrast and so open and clear, right? Typically. But I've been looking at it recently, not with like total fear, but almost with the same parallel awe and one. And that sky also represents the unknown. So just thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, as I mentioned, it's been a series of Novembers and really great things. And so this is a time of change in my life. And I'm feeling as better as I mean, it basically was in a 15-year depression, maybe more. And that wasn't cool. And so I'm out of it now. And I'm reconnecting with childhood hobbies, teenage year hobbies, such as the guitar and stuff. And so I'm married happily. I've got a great dog. I mean, like I'm enjoying. I love movie. I mean, I've always loved movies and comedy and art and poetry and um, just I love. I've always loved life, but the black cloud is gone, and we're rediscovering. And that's so much of what this podcast has always been and continues to be about. FYI. So I'm a work in progress, but so much good stuff. It's been a great couple of years for me, and we are on New Year's Eve, and I'm truly wishing you the best. Um, I said last week in my Christmas episode my little spiel about the holidays, so I won't repeat it. It's the cliche thing, like it's just a reflection of how your life is going. So be sensitive to people who are not where they want to be, and be grateful if you are where you want to be. And my only thought on New Year's is, like I said, pray and be humble, but also take the actions that you need. And I'm talking to myself too, by the way. Take the actions that you need to take to, okay, I'll throw this in there. It's not on my bullet points, but I was thinking of it a couple days ago. Something happened with Rosie, and I had to do something for her, or like disinfect all her toys and a bunch of things that I didn't want to do. It was like, oh, and I might not even, but it was doctor's order. She was on this 5-day course of medication. And on the third day, I had to wash a bunch of stuff. It was really weird. But without hesitation, after a nanosecond, I immediately got up and did it. Why? Because it's for Rosie, and I would do anything for people that I love. And then I thought, well, man, why if I just did that for myself, every time I had something that like I know I need to do for my betterment, if I just did it, then I'd be fucking shredded all the time. I'd be the smartest person in the room. I'd be amazing. I'd reach my potential. Why don't I do that for myself? Why don't I love myself the way I love people that I love or care for myself? You know what I'm saying? So that was a thought I had about myself, and maybe that might be helpful to you. So where was I? Yeah. So my next bullets here, of course, in this hodgepodge intro section is just about Charlie Kirk, Rob Reiner, Ben Sass. Terrible tragedies. Ben Sass is still alive, but his number's up. Uh, Most likely. I mean, you hate to say it, but that's the point. That's why his announcement was so profound. His diagnosis is really shitty. It's bad. Like he's gonna die really soon. It's unless an incredible breakthrough is reached in between now and then, and I hope that it is. But look, Charlie Kirk's murder is profoundly important in political landscape. It's going to connect very largely to the ultimate conversation here, which I will get to soon about Matt Walsh and Tucker Carlson and the political battle. I'm calling it the battle for the soul of the right. That's playing out right now. The void that Kirk's murder left. That just so I was about to say, whether it's an important director, a famous director, or a politician, or Tatiana Schlossberg, who also just a 35-year-old woman, JFK's granddaughter, just died. She leaves behind a husband and two kids. I mean, I was gonna say it's happening every day, and life is full of that's life, and it's just oh, that stinks to just wrestle with that, the reality of life, right? The pain and all of that part of it. Charlie Kirk is maybe the one that Rob Reiner too, a little bit. So they're high profile things. Kirk the most though, where it's got a broader societal um, implication. But it's just been a dark period. But I was going to couch that by saying, but if you've had death in your family independent of these major figures, then those are dark. So it's like, who knows? But I think I'm talking about the public conscience here, the public psychological condition. It's been put through a lot of dark stuff recently. And I guess the point of that is I did some great coverage on them. No, I did. I thought I did a good thing on Charlie the day he died. Felt good about that. Not to make it about me, but go watch that. No, but I'm trying to contribute positively. Is all I'll say about that. Um, I liked what I said about Ben Sass last week, um, and I'm proud about what I'm about to say about Tatiana Schlossberg, which is who cares about the politics? And I'm not sure that she was particularly active, other than I think she was probably a Democrat and on the left. Who cares? Who cares? Isn't that sad that a 35-year-old woman died? I'm proud to do the easiest thing in the world, which is connect to our common humanity and hopefully provide some sort of service to you by reminding us, that we are connected in some ways. Okay. Should we get into the meat and potatoes here? Yeah. Got my water here. A little bit of tea left. Okay. Any prelude thoughts before I just hit the bullets I have here? I hate to reduce everything to a bullet point, but that's what I do. I make little bullet points, 1 or 2 words, maybe 5 words, and, each. Hopefully, and I pray that it produces some sort of tolerable result. Okay, no prelude thoughts. First point here is defining the left. Well, okay, as I alluded to, there is this battle playing out on the right, inflamed a lot. It was already happening. For those of us paying attention, and I've been commenting it on my podcast since Trump won, there's been a fracturing. I mean, even before then, Fuentes endorsing Kamala Harris before the election. So there's been this fracturing on the right, but it's been inflamed a lot and elevated even more to the fore by Charlie's assassination. And so why is there a battle on the right? Well, it has to do with a lot with Israel and certain factions on the right thinking that Israel is a big problem for the United States and always getting us into trouble, and that they're no good to begin with. And so if they're no good, why would we associate with them, and why, let alone provide so much aid and provide so much cover? That is a large part of it. And I think the other part of it, whereas the other part of MAGA does not have that view. And the other part of it, I think, is that same part of MAGA that is very anti-Israel, at least anti the current government of Israel. Um, that side, they are wanting to go to extremes themselves culturally here at home in America in response to the far left critical race theory stuff that has been imposed on mainstream society, which I agree that it has. Whereas the other side of MAGA that doesn't have a inherently negative view of Israel, in fact, may even have a positive view of Israel, on the culture war stuff at home, their view is, no, we agree with you, Reupers, far right of MAGA, that the far left cultural stuff that they've been imposing on the mainstream problem needs to go. Big, 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 big problem. But we don't take it to the extreme. We don't want to mirror it and impose a white supremacist vision of America. We don't need to take it there. We just don't need to take it there. We don't want to take it there. A colorblind traditional American view is sufficient, is appropriate, is good, is great. That's what make America great again means. So there is this fracturing, and it has to do with Jews and race and white people. It does. All right. I've argued since I became a Trump supporter in August 2024 that the percentage of MAGA that is the really extreme, not cool version that I just described is very small compared to the other version. I think that's true. And that's why I remain largely comfortable with MAGA. Not everything. I'm not. There are things MAGA influencers say, of course, that I'm not comfortable with. There are things that Trump does and says that, of course, I'm not comfortable with. But by and large, I think they've got the right perspective, and I support it. I'm good, and I certainly support Trump despite the controversies, and he is controversial, but I like him. So we have this going on the right, and is that 5% extremist percent growing? Maybe. It seems like it. Is Tucker Carlson one of the intellectual leaders? Is Nick Fuentes one of the intellectual leaders? I'm asking. I'm trying to set this up for us. So this is the environment. And so Matt Walsh, who I actually think is very interesting, because and Tucker referred to him twice during the conversation about being as a person who has a foot in both worlds still. I don't know what that ping was. Someone texted me. Go away. Trying to live in my own world here and do art, political art here. One day when I have kids, I'll have to be like, oh, I got to check that. Maybe it's hopefully no one's choking on anything. Enjoying my fatherlessness for now, last year or so. So Tucker describes Matt Walsh as a person who has a foot in both worlds, and that's what he means. Both camps within the MAGA split, you see? And so I wouldn't be doing this, I don't think, if I didn't study critical race. I know I wouldn't if I didn't study critical race theory in law school. I just feel like I suddenly have. I don't know anything. I'm not an expert. I read the news and I try to stay informed, but I would never promote myself as a know-it-all or an expert, let alone or someone you should listen to. I just happen to get some technical education in this one thing, and it has really allowed me to see the political landscape, the culture war stuff in a very clear way. And so FYI, that's why I feel comfortable talking as if I know what I'm talking about. So Matt Walsh has a foot in both worlds. He is very strong pro-family, sticking up for his people, you would say, white people, his nation, America, traditional American culture. He's big on family. He's big on God. He's big on not heterosexuality necessarily, but he's big on heteronormality, perhaps. Hey, it's not that you can't do whatever you want to do in the privacy of your home, but we are going to have a norm in society. It is going to be hetero. Yeah, and it is going to be family oriented because that's how God designed society. That's how society should be. That's how we'll be better off, and we should return to that. Not necessarily, though, we need to make America pure white. Only white people can serve in office. Matt doesn't go there. So that's very appealing to me and interesting to Tucker. And so Matt perhaps is this figure who can play an important role in bridging the divide on the right. And so they start by really defining what the left is. And so going into the interview with that knowledge, they think, or at least Matt does, let's first define the left. It was actually a mutual thing. So they're both smart guys. How do we start this conversation? Okay, let's define what we're all against so we can figure out a basis for potentially coming together. And what is the left? And what are we conserving? And I didn't write notes beyond that. But like I said, it's about the family. It's about God. It's about a society where you take accountability for yourself. It's about objective truth. That's the biggest one that they talked about. And Teddy Pierce, who wrote the book about Dethrone Davos or whatever, which was really good, by the way, and who I had a couple weeks ago on, one of his core insights about the left was moral relativity. And that is the cornerstone of critical race theory. And so I'm connecting the dots here just for me personally. I'm like, I get it when Matt Walsh says the left, which has been taken over by the far left, is defined by in a they don't accept objective truth. That clicks for me. I took 2 semesters of it. And I'm an artist. I like art, and everyone has the right to their truth in a certain way, but is there not a truth? And should we not be dealing in that truth when we talk politics? I lean towards yes. And I'm a God-fearing guy. So Matt makes the point initially in the episode with Tucker. Yes, there's a thing as truth because there is a thing as God. And that's where we stand. So, and everything flows from that, the family, all of that. And so basically they say, look, if you agree with that, then we might disagree how to get to the good outcomes where families are flourishing, where people are accountable for themselves, where God has a role, where um, God is not snuffed out of public life and replaced with other things, where balance is restored to society. Not necessarily a Christian theocracy, but a restoration of balance from that perspective. That's what it's all about. We might disagree how to get there. You might agree with welfare. I might not. But if we agree that family is important, then we're on the same side. Whereas if you're just straight up against those things, if you really want to just simply destroy Western civilization, the family, God, America as we know it, and as we know it, then you're not on his side. And there are extremists. Maybe you can debate me on whether or not they've really taken capture of the entire Democratic Party, but I think it's fair to say they have. And that's why we're in the moment that we're in. And so you have these extreme values on display on the left. And so you go, what do you do? And in addition, so you have the CRT stuff, which has been telling white people that they're bad. Excuse me. I'm sorry that I hope you didn't hear that beep. You've been getting told that if you're a white kid, think about it. You've been raised now in a generation where you're racist by default, you're oppressive by default, and you're part of the problem because you're not doing anything about it. So what the hell are you doing to dismantle this colonial system that you've imposed? What? So you have that. Then you have the declining birth rate, probably purely due to technology and social developments, which were not necessarily natural, didn't have to be, but this is the way we went. We've got a low birth rate. And I don't go right to replacement theory and intentional white genocide, but you have the CRT stuff, which is you're bad. You have the low birth rate. And you have, what's my other note here? The immigration thing. So much immigration, which is not inherently bad, but it's like, what is going on here with the low birth rate and the immigration and the ideology telling me that white people are bad? It's like, this is not normal. This isn't good. And so that's the argument for the idea that there is some sort of white genocide, a soft white genocide, you might think, or a hard white genocide, really, in terms of intentionality, is how I would draw that line. So, are we in a situation where all I know is, yeah, that's not a healthy place to be. And so, at the very least, we need to drop the CRT stuff, stop the toxic ideology. Sorry about that. We're not holding you accountable for the sins of your forefathers. If, by the way, your forefathers even were involved in slavery. And don't get me wrong, I'm not one of these people who denies the horrors and trauma of the Black experience in America. Not by a long shot. I'm here to say, embrace that, embrace history. That's part of what makes America America, is the pain, the contribution that the Black spirit, if you will, the Black culture has made in spite of all the horrors. Look at what America has become. We should all be proud Now, there's a lot of room left there for introspection and apology. You know what I mean? Like when you look back on American history, not if not apology, you know what I'm saying? It's dark. It's very dark. And so there's room for introspection and horror and shame, some sort of shame. There's an appropriate role for shame, but I don't know that that role is in everyday life and infused in our institutions. Maybe in a museum exhibit. Okay, that's MAGA for me. Put it where it belongs and at the appropriate levels. But let's not drown ourselves in guilt, drown white people in guilt. Why? What are we doing in 2025? Are we forgetting? Do we not have tremendous museum exhibits? Just, it's important, but it's not supposed to be, good morning, how are you? And what are you doing to dismantle the patriarchy, motherfucker? Like, no thanks. So you have all these reasons why, for me, I could understand why a white person feels under attack from all these different angles, and that's the situation. And so, which direction is the Republican Party going to go? Are they going to be able to? Which direction are the young white people going to go? Are they going to go into which way is Matt Walsh going to advise them to go? And you have this concept of looks maxing. I just wrote this note before. There's some influencer who thinks he wrote some crazy tweet today that said, "I single-handedly ended JD Vance's career by," he did some post where he pointed out, and I think he's a conservative, but he pointed out that in his mind, JD Vance is a little overweight, fat, he said, or whatever, and Gavin Newsom's like in tight shape and he's really good shape, and so looks are super important. And, that's part of the young right-wing movement, is going back to objective reality. It's actually really important. Whereas the CRT mindset, the mindset of the left has been everything is relative. Obese is beautiful, and it can be, right? You can be obese and beautiful, but you shouldn't. I mean, like, you should strive to not be obese. You should, there is a healthy standard, and you should accept that's reality and that's true. And so the denial of the standard is what I think is fueling a lot of the return to physical fitness, and that's amazing. But when you want to take it to a certain point where you're getting, I think this influencer who made that crazy post about thinking he destroyed JD Vance's career, I think he might have gotten, from what I saw, jaw surgery, and he's like a young kid, and like, who knows what else. It's like, dude, that's mad weird. Take care of yourself, yes, like really take care of yourself, like be into fitness, like that's from a young age, like God bless you, like I wish I did that. I wish I had kept that going as a kid. I mean, I was in decent shape in my late teens, but I wish I'd really gone all in and stuff and stayed all in. But I don't, jaw surgery. I mean, that's pretty weird. So what else can I say? Sip of water. Yeah, this is the battle brewing on the right, and JD Vance, like I said last week, is well positioned to steer the ship. He's not the only guy that can do it. Like I said last week, I think there's a ton of Republican talent. I'm very impressed by like 20 people, damn near everyone in the cabinet. So that is, I think, the situation. You got the left overtaken by extreme ideology that is very nasty. You've got the right reacting to it. That's what Trump represents. And you've got this battle going on the right. Is there a battle going on the left? I don't know. There should be. John Fetterman, is he the equivalent to, not the equivalent, but an analogous version of that on the left? Is there a camp on the left that is fighting for normalcy and reason and yeah, and not pushing unnecessarily divisive stuff out? For me, that's what it's all about. Let's see what remains when you pull. And so in this Tucker Matt Walsh interview, they do a lot of culture war talk, and that's where I'm really comfortable, as you can tell. And I was like, fuck, I wish I was in the room. No, it was a great podcast. I don't need to inject myself into it, but I felt like I was in the room in a way, because it's like they're speaking my language. And at one point they go, and we haven't even touched on economics up. And Matt goes, yeah, like for me, like You could, as long as you agree on the cultural stuff, like as we said earlier, you believe in objective truth, you believe in family, you believe in yada yada yada, then we're on the same team and we can disagree on welfare, like I said, or this economic policy. We could disagree on how to get where we want to go, where we want to be, and we could still be on the same team and have productive arguments and be cool. Um, and Tucker, I could see being, oh, so Matt says, with that said, I, Matt Walsh, lean more towards a libertarian view of the economy. And that's where I currently have been leaning. Elon Musk. I met a lot of libertarians, excuse me, while hosting my podcast and have been really not enamored, but um, intrigued by the logic of these free market arguments. And so that's where I would say I've been leaning lately. But I'm also open to saying, hey, when you strip away the inflammatory cultural bullshit from the discussion, I'll be totally open minded to a left wing, a socialist even argument. I don't think that's where I'll end up, but I would never close the door. Let's talk about it. Should we have social safety nets? I think so. I think that would be kind of uncivilized not to. So, what is the setup for society? That's what interests me. Freedom oriented, um, culturally, pride oriented, culturally, healthy oriented, truth oriented, culturally. Let's get some God in there, culturally. Correct balance, of course. But on the economic front, let's figure it out. What is it? What does the future look? It's a new world. Maybe we are truly at a point where the old models are irrelevant. On the verge of, what do you call it? UBI, universal basic income. I mean, Musk is think about this. Musk is your classic libertarian. He's really an anarcho-capitalist. Cyberpunk, let's build stuff. Private sector is going to be the answer. Fuel innovation, perfect. Okay. He's also the same. Get the Doge, shut it down. The government is inefficient. And the classic argument, and Elon does a great job explaining it because he's an entrepreneur. And I'm no economist. Economist. I can't even talk. But the point is, there is no market feedback. When the government is involved, the feedback loop from the consumer is corrupted. And so the government can't manage any sort of enterprise efficiently because of that, because it's insulated by the taxpayer. The taxpayer is subsidizing, the feedback is not getting to the commercial entity or the governing entity. So private things will work out better, is the idea. Elon is the same guy saying, what, in like months or years, we'll have UBI and technology will be, the robot will be so let's be open-minded about the future, about society. Let's figure it out, but let's do it from a position of we're equals, we're brothers and sisters in a way. You're not my oppressor, I'm not your victim. You're not my enemy. That's what I want to contribute to that conversation because that's very interesting to me. The cultural stuff, remove the baggage, clean the table, and then let's sit down and let's talk America. That's what I'm all about. So thank you all so much for making this year incredible. It's really, like I said when I started this episode, such a kick for me to do this, a real honor, and it means a lot to me. And you've been with me for this last year. Maybe you've been with me for all the 4 years that I've been doing this with me. Maybe you've been with me for 2 weeks, but either way, I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. So hope you have a really great New Year's Eve. Enjoy it, and best wishes for you in the new year. All right. See you next year. Peace.